When you're pushed out of your comfort zone on a Cambridge IT exam, you don't panic. You push back. With perfect examiner-grade answers. Welcome back to The Explainer. If you are a focused learner looking to completely master Cambridge AS&A level information technology, specifically Syllabus 9626, you are in exactly the right place today. I am your strategist for this session, and we are cracking the absolute code on Section 8.1 functions. We're talking about sum, average, min, max, max-A, INT, round, and subtotal. But listen to me carefully. We aren't just going to look at the basic syntax of what these functions do. You probably already know that. Instead, we are going to look at exactly what the Cambridge examiners are hunting for when you use them. Why do seemingly simple everyday choices, like choosing an INT function versus a round function, trip up so many otherwise brilliant top-tier students? Well, it is all about context. Today, I'm going to share the insider secrets pulled directly from the principal examiner reports, so you will know precisely how to secure those top-tier marks and avoid the traps. Okay, let's dive right into this.
So let's start with the big looming question, the boogeyman of grades. Why do students consistently lose easy marks on Section 8.1 functions? I mean, you probably already know how to calculate an average or find a minimum value in a basic spreadsheet, right? It seems so simple on the surface. But here is the trap. Applying these seemingly basic, fundamental functions to completely unfamiliar, highly complex contexts is incredibly difficult for most candidates under exam conditions. Imagine the exam throws a massive, messy dataset at you. We're talking thousands of rows of unformatted, multi-regional global sales data. And then the paper asks for a fully justified business recommendation based on your use of those specific formulas. Suddenly, the clock is ticking, panic sets in, you lose sight of the strategy, and those easy marks just slip away. It happens every single year. But here is your golden ticket, directly from the source. A direct quote from the principal examiner report clearly states, candidates referencing cross-topic connections achieve significantly higher marks. Read that again, cross-topic connections. Scoring high isn't just about showing the examiner that you memorize the syntax for the round function. Anybody can do that. It is entirely about linking these spreadsheet functions to other, totally different areas of the syllabus. For example, in a high-scoring answer, you might need to connect a min function result to data validation rules, explaining how one feeds into the other. Or perhaps you need to relate your spreadsheet formulas to specific hardware limitations and processing power, discussed way earlier in the course. The examiners desperately want to see that you understand how these functions fit into the broader, real-world architecture of information technology. It is all about seeing the big picture. To get you to that top grade, we have a very clear roadmap for today's explainer. First, assessment principles. Second, the method mark strategy. Third, critical analysis. And finally, number 4, examiner warnings. Let's get to it. Section 1, Assessment Principles, the Theoretical Foundations. Before you can win the game, you absolutely have to know the rules. Let's look at the underlying theory. The Cambridge assessment targets 3 distinct cognitive domains. These are knowledge and understanding, application, and analysis. Using these functions correctly in an exam scenario requires you to operate across all 3 of these domains simultaneously. Before we continue, subscribe to our YouTube channel Ace the Exams at acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Click that subscribe button and hit the bell icon right now. Okay, think about it like this. When you use a complex function like subtotal, examiners assess these domains perfectly. First, you need the knowledge of the syntax itself. Second, you need the application skills to actually select the right array of cells without making a referencing error. And third, you need the analysis to explain exactly why subtotal is vastly superior to a standard sum function when your data is actively being filtered in a dynamic dashboard. You have to hit all 3 targets. And that brings us to a massive concept you need to internalize. The Cambridge Assessment Framework heavily prioritizes analytical depth over superficial breadth. What does that mean for you? Well, explaining the precise underlying mechanics of why an INT function mathematically strips decimals rather than rounding them shows real depth. It tells the examiner clearly and confidently that you understand the exact mathematical impact on the dataset and the resulting business logic. On the other hand, superficially listing the basic one-sentence definitions of 5 different functions just shows you crammed a textbook the night before. Depth proves true mastery. Breadth just proves you can memorize. Go for depth every single time. Moving right along, we enter Section 2, the method mark strategy, technical methodology. This is where we shift from theory to execution. This is your procedural framework. I need you to burn this concept into your memory right now. Marks are awarded for the process, not just the final number. I see so many candidates lose out because they forget the method mark strategy. This strategy means that if you just type in a final, correct value on the answer line, but you absolutely fail to show the structured steps of how you got there using sum, average, or whatever function is required, you are leaving massive points on the table. The examiners are grading your methodology, your logic, your exact working out. The final number is just the cherry on top.
Let's walk through the exact standardized 5-step sequence you need to use for systematic processing. Imagine a rapid-fire hypothetical. Step 1, identify the key elements. Let's say we need to find the highest value in a column. But wait, that column includes both numbers and text strings. Step 2, apply relevant principles. This is where your brain clicks and you realize you must use max A instead of max to successfully include those text strings without breaking the formula. Step 3, execute the analysis with crystal clear workings so the examiner sees your genius. Step 4, verify your results. Does that final number actually make sense in the real world, or did you just calculate a negative age for an employee? And step 5, present the format correctly. Stop scrolling. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams at acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. We've helped thousands of students improve by 2 to 3 grade boundaries. Join them right now by subscribing to @acetheexams_IGCSE and turn on all notifications so you never miss our weekly exam strategy sessions. Working hand in hand with those 5 steps are your core data interpretation skills. You must be able to extract data seamlessly from complex texts and tables, interpret the hidden relationships between that data, and draw hard, evidence-based conclusions. For instance, let's say you successfully use the min function to find the absolute lowest sales figure for a specific product line over a 12-month period. Great, but you're not done. You then need to interpret exactly why that figure is the lowest and conclude what the business should logically do next. Should they cut the product? Should they reallocate the marketing budget? That is the professional analytical skill level the examiners expect from a top-grade student. Let's shift gears and escalate things. Section 3, Critical Analysis, Evaluation Insights. This is the high-level stuff, folks. This is the exact boundary line that separates an average, middle-of-the-road passing grade from an absolute top-tier exceptional result. Examiners expect to see a tiered evaluation framework in your extended answers. This framework comprises descriptive, analytical, and evaluative levels. When you are given a complex scenario, you absolutely cannot just describe what a function does. You have to analyze its direct effect and evaluate the alternatives. Take the choice between INT and round, which we mentioned earlier. Round changes the value up or down based on the decimal, right? But INT purely truncates it. It chops it off. This distinction is absolutely crucial, and it completely changes the business outcome if, for example, a company cannot mathematically sell a fraction of a physical product. You can't sell 0.5 of a laptop. You have to justify your specific recommendations based on that exact granular level of evaluation. And when a question specifically asks you to compare 2 different approaches or functions, you must follow these 4 comparative analysis rules. First, you have to identify similarities and differences. Missing one or the other automatically costs you marks. Second, you must use comparative connectives in your writing to show logical flow. For example, saying, whereas average includes all numbers in a defined range, subtotal ignores hidden rows, making it far superior for dynamic dashboards. See how that flows? Third, you must intimately support every single comparison with hard evidence from the provided spreadsheet. And finally, fourth, draw a definitive conclusion about their relative importance. If you skip any of these 4 elements, you are literally just throwing away easy marks. Okay, focus up, because we've reached the most crucial part of this entire explainer. Section 4, Examiner Warnings. These are the top pitfalls pulled straight from the Cambridge Principal Examiner reports. These are the exact mistakes that thousands of very smart students make every single year. Don't be one of them. First up is a massive red flashing examiner alert. Always, always define key terms before using them in your extended responses. The examiners explicitly note that candidates consistently confuse key terminology. For instance, candidates constantly confuse a function with a formula. They are not the same thing, or they write cell when they actually mean an entire range. Listen, if you use the wrong terminology right out of the gate, the examiner immediately assumes you don't actually understand the fundamental mechanics. You lose the point before your brilliant analysis even begins. It's a tragic way to lose a grade. Beyond terminology mix-ups, the examiners have identified 3 highly specific recurring traps. These traps catch students out time and time again when dealing with Section 8.1 functions.
What do you think is the #1 reason an otherwise perfectly calculated formula gets absolutely 0 marks on the final paper? Let's expose these 3 traps right now so you never fall into them.
Trap number 1, using the wrong approach for the wrong context. This is exactly like using a standard average function when the dataset clearly has massive, glaring outliers, where calculating a median would be so much more mathematically appropriate to discuss. Trap number 2, forgetting to check format and presentation. Imagine doing all the hard, grueling logic for a financial subtotal. You get the exact right number, but you leave the result as a raw infinite decimal instead of formatting it strictly as currency with 2 decimal places. You lose the mark. All that work for nothing. And trap number 3, answers lacking specific context. Writing generic textbook answers like Max finds the highest number will get you nowhere. You need to apply it directly to the scenario and write Max finds the highest revenue generated specifically by the European branch in Q3. Context is king.
So bringing it all together, what is the ultimate winning formula to overcome all of this and achieve exam mastery? It rests on 3 crucial, unshakable pillars. First, apply correct formats to every single numerical output, no exceptions. Second, use perfectly appropriate terminology to mathematically prove your technical understanding to the examiner. And third, continuously evaluate function performance against the specific, unique business scenario they give you. Students who implement these computer science strategies see an average improvement of 2 grade boundaries, but only if they practice consistently with our weekly videos. Here's your final reminder. Subscribe to our YouTube channel Ace the Exams at acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Subscribe right now to @acetheexams_IGCSE and click that bell. Don't let another exam pass you by. Combine this systematic approach with rigorous discipline practice on past papers, and those Section 8.1 functions will absolutely become your strongest asset in the exam room.
Which leaves us with one final, very important thought. Are you ready to apply this method mark strategy to your next past paper and secure every single point? Don't just sit there and file this information away in your brain. Go open a spreadsheet right now, load up a past paper, and put these exact evaluation frameworks into practice today. You have the examiner's playbook in your hands now. It's time to use it. Drop a comment below with your target grade for computer science and the biggest challenge you're facing. Our team responds to every comment. Like and share this video with a study partner. AC Exams, your Cambridge success starts here. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer, and keep pushing back with perfect answers.